Almost 7:40 in Trinidad and Tobago. Before we go to our next interview, which focuses on board games, which might seem out of touch with young people now, but many of us would have played board games over many, many years. We have an update here from TN related to the restoration continuing after the adverse weather of the last 12 to 24 hours. They say that crews from the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission are continuing work from overnight, responding to outages triggered as a result of the adverse weather and the conditions that have been experienced. Overhead lines and other infrastructure have been damaged, mainly due to trees and branches felled by high winds. The largest affected areas on the north coast, Lafayette, Maracas, Las Cuevas and Blanchisseries. Smaller outages also exist at singular streets in Belmont, Maracas, Laventille, Diego Martin, Tamana, Claxton Bay and Brazo Seco. Allendale settlement in Comana and Flagstaff and Charlottesville in the Sister Isle Tobago are also affected. On Santa Barbara Street in Maracas and Joseph, some customers have been restored, but additional tree trimming work is required to restore all customers. So work continues in that area. 25 communities were restored between 10 o'clock last night and 5 o'clock this morning, and that work continues with the impact of the inclement weather. But as I said, when was the last time that you had a good family night of board games? Well, for many, this was a norm when it came to family entertainment before the advancement of technology. Well, inspired by the local children's game, Boy, Girl, Animal, Play, Sting TV show, how many of you remember that? I could never win because I used to panic. I panic when you're under pressure to come up with things, and I used to always finish last. But 6 in 60 tasks individual players or teams to name things in 6 categories within 1 minute. Well, the man who's come up with it, Julian Neves, he's the CEO of Dinner Table Games. He's here to share more details with us. Julian, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Tell us about this new game.
Good morning, Fazeer. Good morning, TV6 Morning Edition, Drain Public. The game 6 in 60, well, you gave me a good introduction. I refer to it as the party game version of Boy, Girl, Animal, Play, Sting TV show. That game that's quite the mouthful. So I came up, as you said, I grew up with my parents playing Ludo, playing Monopoly at the dinner table, hence the name of my company, Dinner Table Games. And the interaction, the kind of family bonding that you had over a game, there's nothing like it. It's really a different experience. So from that inspired me to, come up with my own game, and inspired by that, I call it the party game version of that long title, where it's you flip a card with the different categories, and you have to, if you flip a boy with A, you have to name a boy with A girl with C, name a girl with C, and so on and so forth. So it's a very simple game, very easy to pick up and very fun to play.
Where is it available?
It's available, persons can contact me directly. I do one-to-one shipping. It's also on the OnQ app at onq.shop. So persons can check that out as well too. They do direct delivery. I call them like a smaller kind of mini Trini Amazon, where you pay online and they do direct delivery to you.
And how do people reach out to you directly if they want to access this game or any other games that you have available?
Well, this is my very first game. We have some more coming in the pipeline, but they can contact me via WhatsApp at 716-9494. That's 716-9494, and I'd love to hear from you guys.
And of course, you've explained the idea behind having grown up with board games, and I think many of us can. Well, I stopped playing it at home when I reached the point where I was losing every time. I kept losing in Monopoly. I was always broke, landing on somebody with 4 hotels and 57 houses. I stopped Scrabble because since my daughters and my wife beat me all the time, I stopped it as well. But as you said correctly, we live in an environment of online things and online gaming and online communication. What sort of response are you getting? What would have prompted you to come up with this idea of still going with a board game, a Trini board game in 2022?
Okay. Well, actually, the genesis, for coming up with board games, it's probably about 10 years ago, where I was on a ferry going to Tobago, and a friend of mine pulled out this game called Dog Bites Man. And the game was it's a game where you have these simple cards and you have to come up with the headline from the cards. And I was just thinking, "But this game is so simple, I could come up with a game." So over the years, I tested, different games, different types of games. And this game 6 and 6, it was the most popular. I introduced it, beta version at a family day, and everybody's like, if this game was in stores, I would buy it now. So I was like, well, okay, maybe this is the one I need to move forward with first. So it's been a long road, but we finally here, and I'm glad people really enjoying the game.
And while we're talking about games, let's talk about the game of football. I should just mention for our viewers that we've just gotten an update on how Trinidad and Tobago are faring. We're talking about the senior men's national football team in the King's Cup event in Thailand. They are 12 hours away, so it's 7:45 in the evening there. And Trinidad and Tobago are playing Tajikistan. It's 1-1 at this stage, 1-1 between Trinidad and Tobago and Tajikistan. The winner moves into the final on Sunday. The loser plays in the third place playoff in that 4-team event taking place in Thailand. So it's 1-1 at the moment between Trinidad and Tobago and Tajikistan in that King's Cup men's football tournament taking place in Thailand. So, Julian, how long has the game been out? What sort of feedback have you been able to get so far on this new game?
The game, I released it in May, kind of a soft launch, and the feedback has been almost overwhelmingly positive. I've gone to pop-up shops. We had a special showing at the Film and Photo Festival, and also Kasai.con, the anime con festival. And I've had persons come back repeatedly to try the game, try to up their score, persons competing with each other. People really enjoy it, And I guess part of it is that nostalgia of, the written version of the game that they would have played, but it's a fun game. So once people play it, I have no person has come and said, hey, this game is nonsense. I love it. Pretty much everybody has liked it. So it's been very good.
And so you have, as you said, other games in the pipeline. This is the first project in that regard. How difficult is it, though, to get a project like this off the ground, one, given the nature of it, which is sort of like old school, and two, given the realities of our economy? How challenging has it been?
Well, yeah, it's been a challenging process. First, just getting it made, because just, trying with different printers. A lot of people were like, you're making a board game, which is kind of weird. So sometimes I couldn't get a meeting, but the current printers I went with, NEAT printing, were really good. They went through the process, and I was finally able to get it to market. And in terms of, getting it out there, I think for Trinis want to know, well, okay, it's something they know about, something they're familiar with. So I'm at this point where I'm getting it out, getting people to try it, getting the people familiar with it, and kind of, building the brand of the 6 and 6 and the dinner table games. So it's been slow going, kind of 1-1 sales, but I expect, to eventually, reach a certain level where I want, 6 and 6 to be a household name. Everybody have it, in their cupboard.
And are you able to say what other projects you have in the pipeline as far as future games?
Yeah, I have a game. I tell everyone this game 6 and 6 is not my wife's favorite game of the ones I've been beta testing. I have another game, I call it a story-based game, which she loves. So that is actually going to be second game, which I'm hoping to launch next year. I'll probably do like a once a year launch for the different games.
And the company, Dinner Table Games, is that your number one preoccupation? Is this something that was always your dream to move into as a business venture?
Well, no, I got into board games and tabletop development pretty late in life. As a young boy growing up, I always wanted to be a writer. And that led me into a life of working in the media for 15 years. So it's a relatively new venture, but of the very many things I've done, I love it so much, coming up with the games, testing the games. So it's a late passion, but it's quite the fiery passion.
And it seems to be designed around sort of the discussion that we were having earlier about, family values and so many different things. Because as you said, by naming your company Dinner Table Games, it speaks to that sort of connection that you create when you're sitting around a table playing Monopoly, playing Scrabble, playing 6 and 60, that it builds conversations, builds those connections that in many cases we seem to have lost.
Yes, and that's sad. And I mean, I'm a relatively young person, so I'm big into movies. I love video gaming and so forth. But that, as I said, the type of interaction when you get a family to sit down, put down the devices, put down the phone, everything, sit down and talk to each other and play and laugh during these games and lose, a lot, like if a zero or even win. It's those are the memories when you look back. Wow, I remember that. Then I say, well, oh, you remember when you were sitting down playing Candy Crush together? Nobody remember that. So we need to bring it back. There was something there that we lost, and if it's my game or another game, from other local board game makers, or even international, get a game, get your family, get your friends, and have some fun.
Is there the temptation, though, given the realities of online and social media and so on, to produce an online version of the game?
You're picking them out, Fazeer. Yes, yes. I think with the format of the game, it is something that would work online. It's something I'm starting some early investigating into, but yeah, I would love to have somebody sitting on a maxi could play it, and it's 6 and 6, so it literally takes a minute to play a round. You just play a quick round and have some fun. But I don't want that. I want that to be a side. I don't want it to replace the actual.
That's what I was going to ask you, because it would kind of defeat the purpose, wouldn't it, if everybody resorts to playing it online?
Well, I would hope not. And I mean, I play, like, there's an All Fours apps which I love, which I play and I enjoy hanging people jack out. But it have nothing like hanging a man jack when you're sitting on a table and you slam down that card and you're laughing in his face. The online experience is not the same. It's a lesser.
It's a good way of looking at that. Although these days, given the levels of anger, you don't want to be slamming down too much card in front of too many people, depending on the location. But Julian Neves, thanks very much for taking the time to be with us this morning. Tell us about the game that effectively launches dinner table games to the general public in Trinidad and Tobago. Just remind our audience again how they can acquire the game if they really want to get one.
Sure. As I said, you can contact me via WhatsApp. 716-9494. We are also Dinner Table Games on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Recently, we're on TikTok as well too. So reach out and let's make an arrangement and let's get the game to you.
Julian Neves, thank you very much for being with us. There's also the phone contact 716-9494, which is WhatsApp, 716-9494 to reach out to Julian Neves to acquire the game. So from time in the media to time promoting dinner table games, Julian Neves, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us this morning. You're more than welcome. As we come towards 7:52 in Trinidad and Tobago, let's take another break, and when we come back, we'll have the local news for you.
Hoping to find someone with a familiar face so we could